Welcome, welcome, welcome again. This is another segment of Evening Tea. And for your advice, viewers, discretion is advised. This one may not be for children. Glory to God. As I say, these are some topics that you won't hear from the pulpit. We are going to be talking about, last week we were talking about alcoholism. And today is what, the 4th? The 4th of February. And we're getting ready, well, the world, you should say, is getting ready for Valentine's Day. And everybody have their plans. And a lot of things are going to go on. So this evening, I'm going to be talking about some things that we call aphrodisiacs. Aphrodisiacs. Hallelujah. Father, we thank you this evening as we come out of the box this evening, Lord, and we touch some topics that we don't hear over the pulpit. This is free talk, not loose talk, free talk, educated talk, to educate some people about aphrodisiacs and also the deadly side of what we call, yes, that's going to be in there too. Oh, bless the wonderful name of Jesus. So it's going to be a 2-part, and as usual, I am going to incorporate the Bible in there. Amen. So, greetings everyone that will come online, whether now or later on. We are talking about aphrodisiacs this evening. And I don't remember if this evening is the Grammys. So you may be Grammy-minded this evening. So what are aphrodisiacs? Aphrodisiacs is a food. It can be a food, a drug, or that stimulates desires, fleshly desires. And the Romans, they say, they consider, they worship the apple because they say apple is an aphrodisiac. However, that's why a lot of times when they talk about Adam and Eve, you know, they say that Eve bite the apple. But the Bible didn't say Eve bite the apple. It says when she saw that the fruit was good. So we don't know what kind of fruit it was. It could have been gooseberry. It could have been cantaloupe. But this evening we're talking about aphrodisiacs. And I am taking my information from the, like I said, the Encyclopedia of Sex and Health. And it starts out, it says, ever hear that the one about the farmer who had a bull that wouldn't breed, a bull. And so the vet gave him some medicine and he fed it to the bull. And that same afternoon, the beast went out and serviced 4 cows. The neighbor noticed what was happening and asked what was it. And so the farmer said that he didn't know what it was, but he said it tasted like licorice. He didn't know what it was, but it tasted like licorice. So I guess he tasted it. So the meaning of aphrodisiac is a thing that causes excitement And they gave several different types of aphrodisiacs. You may hear my water running in my tank. You may hear my dog bark. You know, just a disclaimer, right? So you have one of the most famous aphrodisiacs that, you know, we hear about is oysters. Then there is asparagus, and there is figs, and of course the famous chocolate. But they also say that there is also the watermelon, right? And from reading this, I get to find out that the Europeans, they call the tomato love apples. Love apples. So potions that heighten sensual love and enhance sexual prowess has been sought after for thousands of years, the encyclopedia says. Almost any food, any drug or drink you can imagine has at one time or another been used to call down the gods of love. From substance as utterly ordinary as an apple to those as profoundly weird as hippopotamus snout. Crazy, right? And so they have several plants and animals have been driven to the brink of extinction after word got around that their leaves or their livers had the power to arouse. So many animals have lost their lives all because people wanted to get their liver. And we know that the liver is full of blood, so it's strong. You know, poor animals, right? So how does anything develop a reputation as an aphrodisiac? Sometimes it's for embarrassing, obvious reasons, like, you know, some people say because of the shape, then it's an aphrodisiac, like the banana, the carrot, the asparagus, the spears of the asparagus. And all of these things have been used as love potions. Now you have some people, they are, what you call it, pharmacists, the street pharmacists, and they can mix up their own aphrodisiac. Like back in Jamaica, you know, we have, you know, they mix the ginseng, the sarsaparilla, what they call it, Gomorrah bit, and the dragon stout, and the ice and grass, and all of these things. Oh, I know about that. My mom used to boil these things, one big pot of stuff, and then when it was finished, then it would be half a cursing pan. Then she would mix it with nutriment and all of these things. Glory to God. And then you'd have the strong back and all the barks and all these things that they have. And they used to say, you know, the girls are not supposed to drink it, but I used to hide and take some. And what she would do, she would dig a hole in the backyard and she would put it in there and then wait for a couple of days or weeks or whatever and take it out, and it's nice and strong, right? All right, so these are what we call aphrodisiacs. So when the Europeans discovered tomatoes in South America, they decided the deep red globes must be the forbidden fruit of Eden and dubbed them love apples. That are the Europeans, right? So it says the Food and Drug Administration has taken a pretty humorous approach to the question, and in a ruling effective January 6, 1990, banned the interstate commerce or over-the-counter sale of any product that bears labeling claims. So the Food and Drug Administration, you can't really go into a place and say you're going to buy anything labeled that lays claim, that arouse or increases the desire, right? And most of these things, there is no over-the-counter food, potion, or lotion that fits the bill of, you can say you can walk into the pharmacy, or you can walk into the grocery store and pick up something and say, oh, this is an aphrodisiac. You won't see it. But we know people talk about, they go to the restaurant and they get their oysters and all of these things. I haven't really tried it of such, because I'm kind of afraid of those raw things, right? And so you have, there are the chocolate. They have what they call orgasmic chocolate and other thing. But there are still reasons why some food may enhance the pleasure. Chocolate, that much love Valentine's Day, and that's why I say next week Sunday I won't be here. So, and we know that the following couple of days is gonna be Valentine's Day. So I'm gonna make sure I hit you right now, right? So Valentine's Day is coming, and a lot of people, they're gonna get chocolate. A lot of people, they're going to get flowers and whatever else comes with it. And after all of that, then you know what go on, right? I don't wait for Valentine's Day to get chocolate. I just buy my own chocolate and eat it because chocolate is one of my weakness, but I find it's too sweet. So other foods long associated with love are like the oysters, and they have eggs and caviar. Yeah, caviar is one of the big ones. So caviar and oysters, and they say it may enhance the desire, right? So Dr. Amelagos says, he adds this, he said, almost any food has the properties of an aphrodisiac because the very act of eating causes an increase in the pulse rate and the blood pressure, right? So anything we eat, sometimes you eat like you eat cheesecake or something like this, and oh man, the thing is so good, you feel every nerve ending stands up. Some people don't like cheesecake though, but he says even the very act of eating, can increase the pulse rate and the blood pressure, raising body temperature, and sometimes even producing sweating changes that occur with that high time, right? I'm trying to keep it as mild as possible, right? So even that can enhance, the high time, the high time. So so all these things that you hear people talking about, foreplay and all of these things, it says you're not aroused. Your arousal is not triggered solely by physiology any more than love is triggered by hormones. It's a plumbing, talking about plumbing and physiology. It's like if truffles and champagne seem to put you in the mood, who is to say they don't? So truffles and champagne may put some people in the mood. Some people, it has no effect on them. They just see it as chocolate. Chocolate ain't doing nothing for me more than I just love chocolate. I don't feel high. I don't feel nothing. I just eat it. It's just that I will, especially white chocolate, I will eat off a whole bag. So I try to stay away from it. So the brain is the most important organ. The brain is the most important sex organ, they say. Many a times it starts in the mind. And so that's why, we have to renew our mind, especially, people, you don't have a husband, you're single in the church, trying to live a godly life. You have to, your mind have to be renewed. the Bible tells us that we must not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our mind. So we, wherever, they say, wherever the mind goes, the man follows. So we have to be careful what we focus on, especially when we are, when you are single. Because whether you're single, whether you're married, engaged or what, we all eat salt. The old people would say back home, we all eat salt. So you all have desires, but we have to learn how to curtail them. And not only single people also, but married people, they have to learn how to curve their appetites. Because some married people, they have their appetites is in overdrive, and that's where you find a lot of cheating, a lot of infidelity in marriages, and that may not be the only thing, but a lot of times that's where the mind goes, the man follows, or the woman also. All right, so they have this chemical that is derived from the bark of the African yoimbine tree. There's this tree in Africa. The yoimbine tree has a long folk history as a love potion, and maybe all those folks were on to something. It really does seem to work in about a third of the impotent men. So yoimbine, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, yoimbine, yohimbine, is a potion that they say is used to in impotent men who try it. So they try it and they saw that it worked. It recently has become a respectable prescription drug for the treatment of male impotence. But there's so much to be said about this thing, right? And so they even dedicate a chapter by itself on this thing. And we find that one of the worst things that can happen to a man is for them to be impotent. So they will try anything, right? So for 5,000 years, the Chinese have sworn by ginseng. And not only the Chinese, but I can speak for a lot of island men. They are big on ginseng, right? And this is a root, like a root, and as a sovereign remedy for more illnesses than you probably know existed. So ginseng is not only for proneness, I would say proneness, but ginseng also gives you energy. That I know, it gives you energy. And for just as long as they touted it as an aphrodisiac. So yes, they have ginseng as an aphrodisiac, and many Caribbean men, especially those Jamaican men, they are big on their ginseng. Okay, so U.S. farmers and sangers, what they call woodland gatherers, still export $40 million worth of American ginseng a year to the Orient, where people chew the stuff even if they're not sick. I've never seen the ginseng that you chew. I only know of the ginseng that come in the bottle. And so they say you can chew it. I guess they say even if they're not sick. So I guess in the Orient, they will chew the ginseng when they are sick, in the belief that it will increase their feeling of general vitality and well-being. So ginseng, it gives energy. So a lot of times when you feel weak, you know, and you get a shot of ginseng, it will give you energy. There is some bona fide scientific evidence suggesting that ginseng can reduce the stress effects of temperature extremes, strenuous exercise, weird diets, and other unpleasantries. So ginseng, it has been studied according to this encyclopedia, and it has been proven, right? It is also been shown to have some positive effects on conditions ranging from depression to ulcers. Ginseng. All right. But does it really work as an aphrodisiac? And they said that they gave ginseng to rats. Poor little rats. They gave ginseng to rats and the S extract, and they found out that they demonstrated a step up in their mating behavior. And so they say they don't know if it has the same relevance to all humans, but they did a study on rats and they saw that it stepped up their mating behavior. Many the Jamaican men, they're going to kill me. Many of the Jamaican men, they believe in their ginseng. They believe in their the roots. They believe in oh my God, what's the other one? It's like a milky thing. They hold on, Akeem, can you go open the back door for George? There is no evidence of enhanced sexual experience or potency resulting from its use. He has the key and he still chooses to come in the back. On the other hand, it's difficult to completely dismiss. Tell him I'm on my live here. On the other hand, it's difficult to completely dismiss 5,000 years of human experience. It could be that ginseng exerts an indirect effect on one's love life simply because it fights fatigue. So we know that ginseng, it fights fatigue and makes you feel a little spunkier. So that's the benefits of ginseng. And so many people who works at nights, they usually will get a shot of ginseng. Some people they get Cuban coffee and all of these things. But ginseng is one of the things that they are really big on. And it says it could be that ginseng exerts an indirect effect on one's love life simply because it fights fatigue and it makes you feel a little spunkier. So it increases running speed in soldiers and reduces drowsiness in night shift workers. Now that I can tell you. That is it does. Right? So the Chinese now, they have a type of a ginseng they call Panax ginseng, which is more potent than the American variety. So can you imagine? That's like a double whammy when you take the Panax ginseng, right? So for those people who have heart problems and taking ginseng, many a times it's best that you discuss these things with your doctor, because it can cause you to have arrhythmias, right? Another thing that they highlight in this encyclopedia is vitamin E. And we know that vitamin E, many ladies, they use vitamin E as for their face and all of these things. But it says that vitamin E has a widespread but ill-deserved reputation as an aphrodisiac. So now they have vitamin E as an aphrodisiac. And why? It says, perhaps suggests June Rainich, PhD, director of the Kenzie Institute. It's because of widely reported studies that showed that the testicles and ovaries of rats They did a test on rats again. Deprived of vitamin E begin to atrophy. They may shrink up, right? When the animals are returned to a diet rich in vitamin E, their genitalia return to normal. So that is showing the importance of vitamin E. But does that make vitamin E an aphrodisiac? Not by a long shot. Humans whose bodies are deficient in vitamin E do tend to have reduced sex drive. So it shows you how important vitamin E is in the diet. Not only as a supplement, but it has its effects. But if your vitamin E level are normal, adding supplement to your diet will have absolutely no effect to your sex drive. So if you are somebody that eats right and all of this, and you take extra vitamin E, you're not gonna see the effects of it. But you only see the effect of if you're not. And so they go on to tell us that you have love potions that you can get by prescription. And most of the love potions that you see you can get by prescription is because if somebody is impotent or any kind of dysfunction, then you go to the doctor and then he give you these things by prescription only. Right? And these prescriptions are to treat sexual disorders and impotence and all of these things. And there's a whole heap of disorders out there, right? They also mention a medication called Wellbutrin or bupropion. And this is an antidepressant. It is used for people who are trying to stop smoking, right? So this Wellbutrin have been found to warm up the libidos and improve the sexual performances of many of the men and women who take it. So you'd say you eat some eggs and you do this. Well, they take Wellbutrin for one thing, right? But it does something else. It's like when they started with Viagra. Viagra wasn't always for men, right? It was given to women for high blood pressure, but the side effect of it was that it increased their sex drive. So of course men grab onto it, right? So in one study conducted at the Crenshaw Clinic, a sex therapy clinic in San Diego, more than 60% of depressed patients who took the drug Wellbutrin reported positive effects, right? And the follow-up studies at other clinics have been quite so rousing. So that means that this antidepressant drug has something to do with increasing libido, right? And so, of course, I am not a doctor. I'm a nurse. I've worked on some of these drugs, especially this one, and I know that the doctor give it as an antidepressant and for patients who want to stop smoking. I've never seen a doctor in my time prescribe it for anything else other than depression and for somebody who wants to stop smoking, right? But it has shown that this drug has a positive effect on those are the things that we're talking about, right? So it says that out of 62 patients given this drug, Wellbutrin, by a Philadelphia psychiatrist, for instance, only a dozen or so found it added an octane to their sex lives. But number one, it is for antidepressant, and for those wanting to stop smoking. So, Don't forget, of course, that these people were all clinically depressed. They were clinically depressed and suffered taking the drug, Wellbutrin. If you have and it says, if you are normal, have no problem in that area, then most likely a doctor will not give it to you for that. Wellbutrin won't prove anything if you are normal. It also won't have any effect on men whose impotence is caused by physical rather than psychological difficulties. So if a man got in an accident, God forbid, and he lost his lost function down there, I don't care if they give him a whole island full of Wellbutrin, it's not going to help him. On the other hand, if the person is depressed and feel sexless, you might consider asking your doctor about Wellbutrin. Listen, if you feel depressed and feel sexless, it says you might consider asking your doctor about Wellbutrin. Now, if you feel sexless and you feel depressed, doctor most likely going to give you the prescription for as an antidepressant, and then you'll probably get the benefit of it. The next one is a prostaglandin E. Prostaglandin E is a vasodilator. That means it makes blood rush to areas, right? Make everything dilate, right? So meaning that this drug works its wonders by causing blood vessels to dilate, right? Vasodilators make your blood vessels get bigger, so more blood is sent to the area, right? So thereby boosting blood flow to a specific bodily neighborhood. So when it's injected, so this prostaglandin E, it says, is not something that you can take to increase your sex drive. This one has to be injected directly into the organ, into the man's organ, and it can produce an erection. They say within 5 minutes. That's the injection, and they say, of course, they say it's painless. I never heard of an injection being painless, but it says that it is painless because the needle is tiny and lubricated with silicone, and so you get only the slightest discomfort. So whether or not the ends justify the means, for those people who are suffering from impotence and low sex drive, prostaglandin E is one of the things that has been studied. It really doesn't hurt, they say, right? And so for men suffering from physical and psychological impotence, so many a times people can suffer from physical impotence because probably their body, their things in their body, or it can be psychological in their mind. And that is kind of erroneous to me, but it is, and so we find out how powerful the mind is, right? And so it goes back to tell us that the brain is the most powerful sex organ in the whole body. It's the brain. And so where we find out that it all starts in the brain, in the mind. And so that's why you see many a times when you have you have people, I'll say people because I know I'm not only talking to married people. You have single people that have their people, right? And they think that, is when they come home all of these things start. No, it starts from before you are at work. You get a call, you get a text, and that's when it starts. So you psych it up in your mind. So a lot of people, they know how to have sex, but they don't know how to have intimacy. It starts from way out on the street before you get home, because it's all in the mind, right? And so the mind also can short circuit, and you have psychological problems. Sometimes you go and you're ready, and next thing you know, nothing can happen, right? And so this is why a lot of people, they're going after aphrodisiacs and all of these things, right? All right, and so a lot of things I'm gonna cut it out, to think. So they have this other thing they call vasoactive internal peptide, vasoactive intestinal peptide, and they call it VIP, right? So the next time you hear about VIP, you probably want to think about vasoactive intestinal peptide. And this is this one is applied directly to the female part or the male organ, and it stimulates arousal. Apparently, it says at least that's the way it looks in preliminary studies, right? And so some of these things have been, these things that in this encyclopedia here has been studied, and it says for women, VIP delivered in the form of a cream, which provides a more natural lubrication than other gels and cream, according to the information provided by Senetech. But for men, unfortunately, the drug must be delivered via a small injection at the base of the man's organ. So anywhere you take it, the guys always get the painful side of it, right? Even when they have prostate problems, and they're going in with a router to fix it, it's always painful. When they find themselves in these situations, and in order to help them out, majority of times, they have to get an injection. This other one, we use it for people with angina, and this is nitroglycerin. Nitroglycerin it's well known as an angina and drug, right? So if a person have chest pains, you put one of these little, coming like a little pill, right? You put it under their tongue, right? And after I think you give them three within 15 minutes. And if they don't bounce back, then you have to call 911 after the third one, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so this nitroglycerin is an angina drug, but it produces an erection within a few minutes. And of course, it is because of the nature of the drug. To work this wonder, it must be applied directly to the male organ in the form of a paste. So it comes like a real tiny little pill they put under your tongue, or it comes in a paste. We usually, have a strip of paper and we measure it off, whether the doctor say 1/4 inch or the doctor say 1/2 inch or 1 inch, depending on the orders that the doctor give for the patient, right? And so there is no need for an injection of any kind. Taking it in pill form doesn't seem to work for down there, right? So physiologically, the drug works as a vasodilator, which causes the blood vessels to get bigger and blood rushes to the area, right? Boosting blood flow to that area. Many are men that have bad diabetes type 1, and insulin and all of these things. Many of them, because I know a few men that have diabetes, but they're not impotent. But many of men that are diabetics, they are impotent. Why? Because they don't have enough blood flowing to the penis, so they can't get a stand up, right? So these are the people that you see would use these things. the thing about it is one thing to remember is this: if a person is taking Viagra, and they're taking they can't take nitroglycerin because you would die. You would drop your blood pressure and you crash, right? There was a incident that I know of this was this old man. He was way up in his 80s, but he had a girlfriend, and so he was sick, and he went to the doctor with chest pain, and so the doctor was about to give him nitroglycerin, and he told the doctor he can't take nitroglycerin. So his daughter was standing there, and he didn't want his daughter to know that he was sexually active because he was way up in his 80 something. And so the doctor asked the daughter to step out, and when the daughter stepped out, he told the doctor he cannot take nitroglycerin because he's using Viagra or Cialis or one of them things. And so had he not told the doctor or say he was unconscious and he come in and they put nitroglycerin on him, he probably would have gone into cardiac arrest. So many men you see using Viagra and all of these things. You have to make sure, tell your doctor, before you get certain medication, right? If you got to tell your doctor. So it's been reported, for instance, that at least one woman got a tremendous headache, right, after having intercourse with a man using nitroglycerin paste. Nitro can cause headaches in people who use it as an angina drug. So this woman didn't take nitro, but the fact that she was with the man who was taking nitro, she ended up getting a side effect. It's like somebody smoking weed and you stand up there and you get secondhand smoke, right? So other drawbacks: nitroglycerin may interact in unknown ways with other medications a person is taking, which is part of the reason it's available only by prescription. Can't go to the drugstore and pick up nitroglycerin because you want to use the paste to get your groove on. It ain't going to work. And so far, it hasn't officially been registered for use in impotence. So your doctor couldn't prescribe it for that purpose. So your doctor won't give you nitroglycerin because you're impotent. Now, if you tell him, if you want to get it, you probably have to lie to your doctor, and that's one person you don't want to lie to, right? And so it's a powerful drug that can cause profound side effect, that is this nitroglycerin, including a serious drop in blood pressure. Serious drop in blood pressure. You can code if you take nitroglycerin and take them other things. The bottom line here, at least for now, it says to be safe. They say what you do: take a apple, use a love apple, use a tomato, or you stick to the chocolate, or you stick to the oysters if you are not allergic to seafood, because it would be a sad thing for you to be eating oysters to get your groove on, and the next thing you know, you end up with an allergic reaction, right? And so that is talking about aphrodisiacs, right? All right. Now, I'm going to end with this. And like I say, Valentine's Day is coming up on the 14th. And probably, I guess tonight is the Grammy, so a lot of people watching the Grammy. But you will see it after you are done watching the Grammy. because be careful, Valentine's Day coming up. If you're a diabetic, don't eat all that chocolate, right? Your blood sugar will go up, of course. And so I'm going to end with Proverbs chapter 5. Proverbs chapter 5, say, my son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. It says, for the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. And so when we look at the word, at the Bible, the fascinating thing about the Bible, it touches every area, even sex. The Bible, we talk about war, we talk about romance. Proverbs, Solomon was one of the greatest, one of the wise king, but Solomon also had a overactive sex drive, because he had all them wives and he still had concubines, right? And so he said, for the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, and her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. So sometimes you see some women out there, yes, you see them and they dress and they shape like a Coca-Cola bottle. Well, nowadays you don't even know what you're getting. You don't even know what you're picking up, because you may think you're picking up a woman, and the next thing you know, you end up with something else, right? And he says, her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. And so this is the deadly side of sex. Sometimes when you think you're getting a pretty face, and you end up with something that penicillin cannot cure. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. He said, remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house. Many a men have lost their lives because of strange women. Lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Some people end up in some bondage. Yes, one night stand. Yes, dating, and the next thing you know, you end up in a trap. My God. And so verse 8 here of Proverbs 5 and verse 8, the breakdown here says, God tells us to flee fornication. So that's what verse 8 is saying. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house. He's saying God's words tell us to flee fornication. Now, fornication is sex between two unmarried people. And between two married people, it's adultery. If both of you married. If one married and the other single, I guess it's a double whammy. But anyway, so 1 Corinthians 6 and 18, it tells us to flee fornication. It says, not test our spiritual maturity by seeing how closely we can interact with it without falling to temptation. And so many people, they dwindle, where they say you have the you have played this cat and mouse game. Oh, I'm just gonna go just this close to the edge to see how much I can go to the edge without falling off. And a lot of times they play this the cheese before the rat or the cat, right? He says to see how close they can come to interaction and without falling into temptation. If you know something causes you to stumble, stay away from it. And that's what the Bible is saying. If something going to cause you to stumble, stay away from it. Not only sex, but gossip, overeating, and all of these things, flirting, If you know you're going to have a probability to get you in trouble, stay away from it. Whether trying to fix it, stay away from it. Now, verse 9 say, lest thou give thine honor unto others and thy years unto the cruel. I get it like this. You give your honor unto others, right? So if you're a pastor, if you're a public official, if you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, and you're going to these strange women, you give your honor to it, because what shame going to come on you. And your years unto the cruel. Now your years unto the cruel, you go in and you lay down with a woman, you get her pregnant, and when you decide to leave, then she take you to child support. All your years is going to work for her. You're going to work for her. And sometimes the kids don't even get half of what you have to pay. You have to work to take care of it. So the Bible is telling you that you must be careful. It said, let strangers be filled with thy wealth. Strangers be filled with thy wealth. You and the woman break up. You have a child for the woman and her side chick, right? Eating your money that you're working hard for, and you can't go there and say anything, or you end up in jail. Let strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy laborers be in the house of a stranger. Next thing you know, you and she break up. You have to work and take care of the kid, and the next thing you know, she buying her boyfriend a car. Your money, you have to go and work because you have to pay child support, right? And so the Bible is trying to get you all out of this mess. At the end of the day, you are going to be the one to pay. Verse 11 says, and thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. Whether you want to work or not, you have to go to work. And say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof? That always come at the end. But he said, oh, only if I had known. But no, many people think that the grass is green on the other side. Yes, women stray, right? But many a times, who get caught in the ticket? It is the men. He said, and have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to them that instructed me. No, you just had to have her. You just had to have her. Or have him. But here Solomon is talking, right? He's talking to mostly men here. And you're going to see further on. He says, I was almost in all evil. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. When these things happen, everybody know. You go to church, everybody know. And even on your job, everybody know. And if you're an honorable person, that's where everybody turn around and disrespect you. Some people don't care, but I'm just saying. So it tells now in verse 15 of Proverbs 5 and glory, thank you. It tells you Proverbs 5 and 15, it says, drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Thumbs up to you too, wherever you are. So he said, you drink water from your own cistern. And a lot of times when people get married, and you hear the man say, oh, I'm drinking water from my own cistern. And what this says is like, over here, probably some people that live in some areas, they have tanks, right? But in Jamaica, we have these plastic containers that we use to collect rainwater and whatever, and you use it to do all your washing and stuff like that. And so, people who have tanks, my I think my mom have a tank. I know my dad, I believe he had a pump, right? And so they have these tanks, and you get your own private water supply. So when you have your own private water supply, you can go get your water as much as you want. And so now, Solomon is likening when a man have his own wife, and our wife have our own husband. But he said the man, because normally most likely the man will get the water, right? Our build is tank, because it's respect for you to have your own water supply back home in Jamaica. I guess everywhere else, right? And so you drink water out of your own cistern and running water out of your own well. When you have your own well, nobody can tell you when to pump water, how to pump water, and all of these things. He said, let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of water in the streets. So when you have your water, you can do whatever you want with your water, right? But when you go take somebody else's water, when you go in another man's yard and try to drink out of his cistern, there is a problem. He go on to say, let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee. So basically, you got your own woman, right? And you don't need no side chick, right? You got your own cistern and you drink from there. Now, if you go out and you drink out of somebody else's cistern, you don't know who dabble up in the water. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breasts satisfy thee at all times. Now people say, oh, I never know this in the Bible. But Solomon is saying this, right? Let her breast satisfy thee at all times. Brother, Pastor George loved breasts. And be thou ravished always with her love. He over here giving me thumbs up. Hallelujah. So, and why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, right? And embrace the bosom of a stranger. So basically, if you see somebody, right, and you married to the person, is because you have made a choice, right? And for whatever else, you go out there and you see a strange woman, right? He says you embrace the bosom of a stranger because you see her, you think you know her, but like I say, in this day and time, you never know what you're getting. I heard the story of this young man. He's very girly, and he saw this nice thing. I'll call it thing because, she looked like a girl, but she wasn't a girl. And because he's girly, he claimed that, oh, I have to go to the hotel with you. Rented a hotel, and when the person came out of the bathroom, it was not girl, it was a guy, and it was God that spared him, because once you get in there, they want to do whatever you bring them there to do, but God would spare him. So a lot of times when in this time we're living in, men have to be careful. Men have to be very careful, because you never know. You never know what you are getting. The story, I don't know if it's true, about the man that went to the hotel and found this girl, and they were getting ready to do their thing, and she said, she went to the bathroom, and when she came out, she began to screw off. She began to screw off one hand, then she screw off one foot, because she had on fake hands and fake legs. Nowadays, you don't know what you're getting. My God. And so, verse 21 says, for the ways of a man are before the eyes of the Lord. And so, your ways are before the Lord, right? And so anything that we do, whether male or female, is before the Lord. So you think that you're cheating on your wife, Your ways are before the Lord. And she think that she cheating with somebody. Our ways are before the Lord. Right? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. So, you may have your wife at home and think, oh, if I go to another town, if I go to another state, if I go to another country, and you think, oh, yes, me and my girlfriend, or me and my boyfriend, or me and my side chick, or whoever, or some people even have another house with a whole another family. And you think, oh, you're doing that, and you think, so, oh, you're pulling a fast one on your wife, or you're pulling a fast one on your husband. And mostly it's the men. Right? Because it take a lot for a woman to have a man on the side. And many a times when you see a woman cheat, is most likely it's conversation, and then conversation may lead to something. So if you are not taking care of your wife or your girlfriend, because I know not everybody in here that gonna see me is married. Listen, if you don't take care of her, somebody going to take care of her. And a man will say, oh, if the woman don't take care of me, another woman going to take care of me. Yes, the woman going to take care of you, but remember, you are the man. You're going to have to give out. While we are receptors and you are givers. So anywhere you take it, you ain't doing your wife nothing. Because at the end of the day, if you go out there and get somebody pregnant, you're going to have to take care of that baby. The next verse says, his own iniquities shall take the wicked himself. So you keep on doing the same thing and think you're slick, right? And your own iniquity is going to get you caught in the net. And he shall be holden with the cords of his sin. So when you get the girl pregnant and you tell her, oh, go get an abortion, and she take your money and have the baby and take you to court, and you don't pay that child support, you're going to lose your license in America. I don't know what they do in the islands. You're going to lose your driver's license. My God. And everything else that comes with it. You're going to be caught the cord of your sin. 23. He shall die without instructions, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. So it tells you it is all folly. Back to 21, it said, for the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his ways. It says here, God is constantly watching over us, noting our decisions. So even before, that's why I say, even if you're looking at a woman to say, oh, I wish I could have knocked that, he said you already sleep with her. He said God is constantly watching over us, noting our decisions, observing our behavior, and examining our hearts. He knows exactly what we need in every situation and invites us to ask him for his counsel. And we know, especially in this country here, some of these women, they don't want much. They want a night on the town. Some of them, you take them to a restaurant and they have a night, a good time, and they don't care, because after they finish with you, you go home to your wife. And they don't have to cook for you, they don't have to clean for you, nothing, and they take all you have. And so God sees all of these things, and he says, if you want counsel, because some people, that's why you see you have a lot of these people, these men have their wives, and you hear that, oh, they molest this little girl or whatever, because they have high sex drive. Some men have some crazy appetites, and it's demonic. If you can't satisfy with one woman, It's demonic. And I know you have other countries, where you can have one wife and two wives. Yes, they want to have their cake and eat it too. But what the Bible tell us? No man can serve two masters. You're going to love one and hate the other. And no way you can say, oh, I have two wives and I love them the same. No, you can't love the two person the same. You're going to love one and hate the other. No matter what you think. The Bible say it. But to each his own. Hallelujah. I'm just telling what the Bible say. And so tonight, like I say, Valentine's Day, the world is going to celebrate Valentine's Day, right? And they'll tell you, oh, Jesus was the first Valentine. Because everything in Christianity, everything in the world, Christians try to put a lid on it and try to stamp Christianity on it, right? It's a pagan thing, right? And it's nothing but commercialization and stuff like that. A whole heap of flowers, a whole heap of chocolate. Nothing wrong with that. If you have your special people to give it to, right? But remember, men, stay away from these strange women. And remember, when you take these things that are called aphrodisiacs, they're going to charge you up. And you must know how to govern yourself. And so tonight, I hope something that was said that will help you. And may God bless you. May God keep you, cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And for those that you have some crazy sex drive, you have some erroneous thoughts in your mind. The Bible says focus on the things that's honorable, the things that are pure, the things that are of good report. Keep your eyes, stay in the lane, and don't be seduced by these strange women and sometimes some crazy men, right? And remember, I don't care how far you have fallen, I don't care what you have done. There is a God that loves you. He has his eyes on you, and there is no place that you can fall far enough than God's hands cannot reach you. And so this is Pastor Ann. This is Evening Tea, Real Talk. And so next week on Sunday, like I say, I won't be here. I'll be going somewhere. And so the following week, I'll find something out of this encyclopedia of sex and health to talk about, right? So we have everything on here. We have fantasy. We have gonorrhea. Listen, we're going to touch on all of these topics. Those that have hysterectomy, we're going to touch on all of these topics are here. All kind of stuff. But like I say, viewer discretion is advised. We know that in the schools they're teaching our children all kind of things, but viewer discretion is advised. You don't want your kid to hear about sex at whatever age. They're telling them about the birds and the bees at school. We have the birds and the bees in here. We're going to talk about the birds and the bees. And like I say, I try to tone it down and to make it palatable. But viewers' discretion is advised. God bless you. Have a good night. Until I meet you again on the next session of Evening Tea. Be blessed. Evening Tea.